Welcome to Unemployed and Afraid, a podcast that explores the glorious mess of building your own business with the people doing it. I'm your host and fellow business builder, Kim Curtin. Thank you for being here. Let's get into some good, honest, small business chat. I've been thinking a lot lately about the traps that we as business owners incidentally find ourselves falling into. And the first one can come well before we're officially feeling confident to put business owner or the myriad of other titles that we give ourselves confidently onto our LinkedIn bios. But this is the one that got me really bad at one stage. It's the purpose trap. If you've ever found yourself questioning what it is that you're doing with your life and feeling a bit lost for what to do next with your career, likely it is that you're going to be hit with a barrage of advice that boils down to finding your purpose, then building a business, structure, career, whatever it is out of that. And so in the endless pursuit of honesty and realism around these things, I want to share with you some thoughts on why I think that's a bit unfortunate and possibly a bit dangerous for us to go too far down this purpose hunting path. Often this aspect of purpose is linked with values, define your core values and build from there, right? But how often, if you've done values exercises, how often have you been mapping it out and you haven't written down or ticked the options for friends, family, health, and freedom? They're pretty important, right? It's pretty hard to look past that. But as you start to narrow it down, you're only supposed to get a few words, it can become harder and harder to really lean into what your values are, beyond that when it comes to your career. And so this picture of finding your purpose and aligning it with your values, it gives us the sense that our professional purpose or passion should be linked with the other aspects of ourselves in our lives. And it starts to get a little bit hard to see the wood from the trees. And so many of the stories we hear about others finding their purpose and their passion follow this kind of lightning bolt style narrative. One that we start doing this hobby and bam, my purpose hits me across the face and now I know what I want to do with the rest of my life. Let's go forth and build a successful business around that. We'll never be sad again. And after talking to hundreds of people now who are building businesses at all scales, all levels, all structures and loving it, I can tell you that most of the times this lightning bolt picture, it's just not the picture at all. I do think that a lot of the advice about finding purpose and passion does exist to sell us a dream or perhaps a product or a service, but I won't get entirely cynical on you in this, I promise. But I really do believe that our infinite vulnerability as personal change makers and those who are seeking to build something for themselves, that those articles and content designed to support us making a change overly tout finding your passion as the key, which causes us to think that a business development or career pivot should be based on what we love, what we're crazy passionate about, what's so intrinsically aligned to us, and then let that form into a business. Really big ask for a business and a career. So for those of us, though, who haven't explored infinite hobbies, we might be then grappling in the dark, going and trying new things and expecting to be hit with a lightning bolt of passion that builds into a career. And so often we might end up thinking that it has to come from something creative or be creation driven, and to be in love with it all the time or always lit up and in flow by it. It just places so much pressure on what we do and what we love that it seems entirely unfair to ourselves to follow this path. So this is a far less sexy premise than finding your purpose and letting it light the way into a business that you love. But I think most of us find something that's interesting enough to keep us engaged most of the time, with a little side order of frustration at times. And we only realize how much we enjoy doing something by trying it out for long enough to see the passion grow into what it really is. A held interest and a personal satisfaction in exploring the topic or action for a big part of your day, and one that may or may not be intrinsically linked to aspects of self or aspects of values that you have in other areas of your life. See, it's not that sexy, but it is real. I'm not sure the people behind the businesses we admire are always gripped by the passion and seemingly propelled to keep working on the thing that they're creating. I think most of us have just found something that's interesting to us most of the time. And we've set up structures to support us to do it consistently and regularly. And there's enough about it that we can tackle it from different angles and find really cool things within so that we can keep exploring it and kind of let the action that we do drive the passion that we feel. Similar to why this show exists, which is to combat the headline driven stories of business that work to make the rest of us feel like failures, I don't believe we should be putting finding our purpose up in lights as the thing that we want to do. When I quit my job in 2020 and threw myself into the abyss, I really wanted to find my purpose, the thing that I felt meant for. I had this urge and this itch and this need to search for something. And so I looked for something, a thing to find my passion and my purpose. So I went right into this values hole and this finding purpose narrative. I hired a coach to go through the values review process and align it with my skills that I had that I could leverage and think of an idea and start to develop it. I went through all of that process. It wasn't wasted effort at all. But if someone had just said to me, Kim, stop overthinking it and maybe just go try some new hobbies or read about some things that interest you without putting huge expectation that it'll lead to something that will be incredibly and intrinsically rewarding and will also fund your lifestyle needs and happiness, and just wait to see where it takes you. If someone said that to me, I might have felt better about the process that I was going through. I might take off the search, call off the search for the big thing and just lean into a period of exploration to see where it goes, which is, of course, where I ended up heading. But there is also a chance that I also might have been super frustrated if someone said that to me because, who doesn't want reasonably quick answers when they're feeling that way, right? It's why so many industries exist, to solve a problem that we have. But since then, I've been passionate, quote unquote, about yoga, ceramics, cooking, all of which I turned into businesses. And guess what? I still love all of those things, but there is no way I want them to be the things I think about all of the time. And they didn't give me that lightning bolt passion purpose. I just really enjoyed them, which is what passion is, which is what purpose sometimes can be, to explore something that lights you up. It's so rarely just one thing and the thing that will motivate us and push us forward. But it was only by doing those things that I did find something that does hold my attention and keep my interest seemingly endlessly. Because when we're building businesses, we are thinking about it constantly, and not necessarily just because of the passion, because it's just on our minds. What about this? What about this? We could do this. We could do this. Oh, there's a new idea. Okay, that's interesting. And ironically, the thing that I found that holds my attention was the thing that I thought I didn't want to do anymore, media. I read trade press every day. I love it. I love it when it lands into my inbox. Quite boring, I know. I think about who the target audience might be for a specific ad. Nerdy. I notice patterns and trends in all that I read and see. And I came back to this close feeling to passion after starting a podcast. It just looked like me getting a bit obsessed with the ins and outs of podcasting and being like, oh, that's interesting. No, that piece of podcasting isn't that interesting to me. I won't read that. Oh, let me just read this bit. I started to just engage with a lot of information about the medium. And I remembered how much it excited me when I worked in and around it in media companies. And I could say now that it's my passion and purpose, but that is not a fair statement to others looking for the thing that makes them feel intrigued and interested. Because reality is, I still get bored from it sometimes. I'm like, if I read another thing about podcasting today or another person's opinion, I'm actually going to lose it. And sometimes I need to fight for motivation to get into it. That's just a normal part of being human, even though I love it. The thing that you care about, the thing that drives you, can't be expected to be your everything at every minute of the day. The thing that you come to really enjoy, it won't intrinsically motivate you to get out of bed every day. It might for a short window of time. That short window of time might happen every now and then. It might come up occasionally as you go through your pathway. Sometimes in the day you will feel intrinsically motivated, but it's not a given every day that the thing you love is going to drive you into motivation. That motivation has to come from within. To build something out of something that interests you, you need to self-motivate and show up even when you don't want to, with consistency, especially when you don't feel like it, to just keep showing up. So all that said, there's two reasons I think the purpose trap is annoying. It tricks us into thinking we're missing something we need to find. I find that really sad because so much of the answers exist within us, and so many of the answers we find, might change into new questions once we start to explore them for often enough. And going through life feeling like we're missing something, that's not a lot of fun. And it stops us from noticing how much we just like something because we're expecting a lightning bolt of unrelenting passion to drive us and to become something we're utterly obsessed by. I've long said that action creates information. I didn't make that up. I got it from somewhere. I don't know where. I wish I could credit it, but it's stuck with me because if you want to find something you love, you just have to try things. And please keep in mind that it's entirely normal that love doesn't look like blinding obsession and purpose. It really is just something that you find interesting enough to keep you coming back to it for as long as you do. So, I hope this helps to take the pressure off yourself a little bit. If you're in a state where you really want to get into something new, you really want to try something, and you want something to be your passion and your focus, I hope it just takes that pressure off yourself a little bit so that you can just concentrate on building things brick by brick, picking up something that interests you and seeing how far you can take it, and not being afraid to switch bricks if you find that you want to. The purpose of this podcast today was to perhaps just give you an interesting insight that I'm exploring that is super relevant to the experience we have as business owners, which is what these solo episodes are here to do for you, as well as tidbits of information from things I'm learning as I go along the way and things that I'm exploring as well, to just help you as much as possible realize that your human experience is entirely human. Thank you for listening to Unemployed and Afraid, the podcast for small business builders with your host, me, Kim Curtin. If you love it, you can say thanks with a star rating and a review. And of course, join the community on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Find us at Unemployed and Afraid wherever you're hanging out, and I'll see you there.